From the outside, we looked like the perfect pair, my best friend and I, glued together since grade school, always a match set no one dared to separate. But beneath the easy laughter and shared secrets, I carried one truth that never made it past my lips. Since I was a kid, I had been drawn to my sister's closet like it held the answers to a question I didn't know how to ask. Dresses, skirts, delicate fabrics, I slipped into them in stolen moments. Heart pounding, terrified, and thrilled. Twice I got caught. Once by my mother, once by my sister. Both times, the same shameful scramble, tearing the clothes off as if the fabric itself were burning my skin. But years passed, and the urge never left. At 22, I couldn't call it a phase anymore. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't curiosity. It was me. The problem was simple and impossible. The world didn't want boys who loved looking like girls. And yet, I loved it. I still craved it. That single truth explains everything that followed, every risk, every mistake, every step into the unknown. The house was empty, my sister Katie away at college, and the rare chance was too tempting. This time, I went all in. I shaved every trace of hair from my body, built myself up from the skin out until the mirror reflected someone I longed to see. My hair, grown long enough, responded to a blow-dryer and stubborn effort, giving me a rough but passable feminine style. I glued on scarlet-painted nails, wriggled into one of Katie's short dresses, slipped into her heels, and for the first time in ages, felt whole. Standing in front of the mirror, I turned side to side, tracing the smooth line of my legs, the glossy red smile, the way the shoes lifted my frame into something striking. For those few minutes, I wasn't pretending I was alive. Lost in that reverie, I didn't hear the door open. What I heard was the voice. "Holy hell! Aaron! Is that you? Why are you dressed as a girl? Damn, you look, actually pretty good." My blood turned to ice. It was Jake, my best friend. He'd seen me, fully revealed. No excuse in the world to hide behind. We'd spent our lives barging into each other's rooms, trading keys, moving in and out of each other's space like it was nothing. He'd knocked, gotten no answer, and like always let himself in. Only this time, I was standing there with nowhere to run. For a heartbeat, we just stared. I had never felt humiliation burn so sharp, like I'd been stripped down to bone. Jake knew me too well. He'd already calculated it. This wasn't a prank, it wasn't hazing, and no secret initiation explained it. I was dressed this way because I wanted to be. I opened my mouth, fumbling for an excuse, when he grinned and said, "You know, with the right kind of help, you'd make one hot chick." "What?" "You heard me, Aaron. Or should I say Aaron? You'd look incredible if someone who knew what they were doing helped you out. I mean, you already have the hair for it." I snapped. "Get out so I can change." "No way," he shot back. "We both have a problem, and I just found the solution. We both win." I slumped into the chair, dread twisting in my stomach, because I knew exactly where this was going. Jake was 2 months away from his fraternity induction, and part of the ritual was being presented at the local ball with a date. Girls terrified him. He was tall, muscular, all charm and dark eyes, the kind of guy people swore girls dreamed about. But when it came to actual dating, he shut down after 2 tries. His mother intimidated him too, though she was a petite woman, barely 5 feet tall, with sharp eyes that could slice through steel. Jake could face down linebackers on the field, but froze around women. I, on the other hand, stood at 5'6", thin, blonde, blue-eyed, the contrast to his bulk. People often wondered how we'd stayed such close friends. The truth was simple. We'd grown up that way, and nothing had ever broken it. "So, what's this brilliant idea?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Be my date for the ball," he said with a sly grin. "You get to go out, dressed the way you clearly want, and I get a date I can trust. Win-win." I almost laughed at the absurdity, but denial was useless. If this were just a joke, I wouldn't have gone through the trouble of painting my nails, shaving my body, and styling my hair. He knew it. Even if I agreed to something this insane, I shot back, what do I tell my parents? Hey mom, hey dad. Jake asked me to the ball, and I'll need a gown, fresh nails, hair done, new shoes. My dad would be horrified, and mom would probably laugh until she collapsed. Jake leaned casually against the wall, unfazed. Maybe not if you told them it was for my induction. Didn't your dad once say he had to dress as a girl for weeks when he joined his fraternity? He'd get it. They'd take it better than you think. Then, with a glint in his eye, so? Want to be my date? He had me cornered. No disgust, no mockery, just calm acceptance, and a practical plan that tied his problem neatly to mine. For the first time, someone wasn't telling me I was wrong or broken. They were telling me I could be seen. I told him I'd think about it and finally shoved him out so I could change back. My daydream had been ruined. I'd wanted to spend hours in that world, but now all I could hear was his voice echoing. It took nearly an hour to erase the girl from the mirror and rebuild the boy. And yet, even as I folded away the dress and peeled off the red nails, his words gnawed at me. Going as Jake's date sounded outrageous, impossible. And still, some part of me wondered if maybe it wasn't the disguise that would be the hardest part. Maybe the trick would be carrying myself like someone who deserved to exist in that skin at all, without giving myself away in a single heartbeat. It weighed on me constantly, the thought of what Jake had proposed. My concentration was stretched thin, torn between the ache to finally step out into the world, as a girl, even if only once, and the sheer terror of being exposed. I could imagine the fallout. For me, it would be humiliation. For Jake? They'd crucify him. And then there was the impossible hurdle of explaining it to my parents. If they asked, "How did Jake even know you liked to dress this way?" I'd have no way out. The rest of that day, Jake and I hung around like nothing had happened. He didn't push, though once at the mall, he pointed at a dress in a shop window and said I'd look great in it. He wasn't wrong, but I wasn't ready to talk about it. That evening, my parents came home, assumed life was running smoothly, and we all turned in without incident. The next day, though, everything tilted. "Aaron, can I talk to you a minute?" My mother asked after school. "Sure, what's up?" "Jake's mother called me today. She asked me the strangest question, whether it was true you were going to be Jake's date for the induction ball." "Is it?" "What?" I blurted, scrambling for time. But the look in her sharp eyes cut right through me. The kind of look that stripped away excuses. With a sigh, I admitted that Jake thought I'd make a convincing girl and had asked me to go with him. I left out the part about him catching me dressed. Admitting that would mean confessing I still did it. Mom's eyes narrowed, but there was no judgment in them, only calculation. She already knew about Jake's discomfort with girls and quickly connected the dots. "Well," she said slowly, "considering all the practice you've had, it wouldn't be impossible. What did you tell Jake?" "I told him he was crazy." "Maybe he isn't. Did he see you the other day, when you were dressed?" I froze. How did she know? She always seemed to see right through me. I gave her no answer, but that silence was its own confession. "You've got 2 more days of school before spring break," she said matter-of-factly. "Why don't we spend some of that time seeing how you really look as a girl? I'll help you. Then, if you decide to tell Jake no, we'll drop it. But if we stop, I expect you to quit playing dress-up. If you say yes, then I'll be there every step of the way. Honestly, you're probably just as pretty as Katie, maybe even more." From the moment she said it, I couldn't think about anything else. Her offer consumed me. The idea of having her help, real help, felt overwhelming. And how could Dad object? He had admitted once that his fraternity hazing had forced him into a dress for weeks. With Mom's support, his past, and the sheer possibility of it all, the choice seemed obvious. I was going to say yes. I think she knew it too. On my last day of classes before break, she confirmed it. "Come straight home," she told me. "We'll have the whole day." I said nothing to Jake just in case it blew up or I turned out to look ridiculous. When I walked in that morning, she was waiting. She led me straight to my room and, for the first time since childhood, told me to undress while she stayed. I stopped at my briefs, embarrassed, but it was obvious my body was smooth, shaved clean. Go shower, shave again, wash your hair, then put these on and come to my room, she instructed. I obeyed, even fixing the small spots I'd missed under my arms. By the time I stood in front of her again, my skin was smooth, my face freshly shaven, my hair damp. I slid into the new panties she'd set out, wrapped myself in a robe, and followed her. In her room, brushes and rollers were waiting. She seated me and began winding my hair into tight curls, using gel to make the rollers cling. When she was done, she gestured toward the cosmetics lined neatly on the counter. I hesitated, then slipped away to my own room and returned with my foundation. Mom's and Katie's shades were too light for me. Just dab it on, she instructed as I began. Then use 2 fingers to smooth it out. You're not painting a wall. Keep it thin, light just enough to even your skin. I did as told, surprised at how much better it looked when applied her way. Then she handed me a puff loaded with powder. Press this on where you use the foundation. It sets it. I waited, brushed off the excess, and for the first time my face looked seamless, my faint stubble erased. Next came the eyes. I thought I knew how, but under her hand, the difference was stunning subtle shadows that made my eyes larger, sharper. Then the black eyeliner, the soft pencil beneath, a sweep of peach blush, mascara that lifted my lashes into something striking. With the rollers still in, she had me put on the bra she'd laid out, then pantyhose. When she picked up a slip, I paused and darted to my room, retrieving the foam pads and birdseed breast forms I'd hidden. Sliding them into place, my chest curved convincingly, my hips fuller with the pads under my panties. Mom said nothing, just watched as I pulled the slip over my head. Then she stunned me. She held out the very same short dress I'd worn the day Jake caught me. My pulse quickened as I slipped it on, felt her zip it up, and stepped into the heels I'd brought along with the pads. They were the only pair of heels I owned, but when I caught my reflection, I hardly recognized the girl staring back. Hair set in glossy curls, bangs brushing my brows, earrings glinting red and black, she looked better. Softer, prettier, as if all the awkward edges had been smoothed away. Mom's touch had done in minutes what I could never manage after hours alone. She brushed my hair out with sure, practiced strokes, shaping it into a style that framed my face perfectly, ears just visible beneath the curls. Without a word, she swapped my earrings for her own simple but elegant, and clasped a necklace around my throat, its red and black pendant matching. A spritz of perfume followed, sharp and floral, and suddenly the girl in the mirror carried a presence that went beyond fabric and paint. "Do your lips," Mom instructed, pressing a tube of lipstick into my hand. "Then join me in the kitchen. Bring your nail kit." How did she always know everything? I obeyed, painted my lips into a soft, glossy curve, then dug out the kit I kept hidden under my bed. There was only one set of nails left, no tape, just glue. I confessed as much, but Mom only nodded. "Use the glue. I'll dissolve it later." I fitted each nail carefully, trimming them to match, then glued them on. The polish I had left was a muted plum shade, richer and subtler than the flashy red I'd once favored. Mom said it suited me. I applied 2 coats, watching my hands transform into something delicate, feminine, almost regal. Through it all, she never interrupted, never mocked, just let me work. When the polish dried, she led me to the hall mirror. For the first time, I didn't see a boy playing dress-up. I saw her a girl with luminous eyes, a playful smile, curves and lines that fit together naturally, long legs gleaming under sheer nylon, balanced on tall heels. The effect silenced me. "What do you call yourself?" Mom asked softly. "Erin," I whispered, before I even thought about it. The name Jake had once tossed at me landed with a strange sense of inevitability. I'd always imagined myself as Linda, but Aaron felt alive, right? Like it had been waiting all along. Mom's smile warmed. Aaron, that's lovely. Tell me, have you ever left the house like this? Hell, sorry, no. I never looked good enough. What about now? She pressed gently. Do you look good enough now? I swallowed, unable to answer. I'll get you a purse, she said briskly, moving before I could protest. There's an old wallet you can use. Transfer your things and we'll take a drive. Just to see how you do. Minutes later, she returned, handed me the purse, a lipstick, tissues, and my own wallet. My heart hammered as I tucked everything inside. At the back door, she paused, holding it open, waiting for me to step into the sunlight. It took all the courage I had, but I crossed the threshold. The sun was dazzling, the air thick with spring warmth, and fear shot through me like lightning. Mom guided me to the car. She didn't need to say where we were headed. I knew the moment she steered onto the expressway. Dad's office. There was no stopping her, and though panic thudded in my chest, some buried part of me didn't mind. If Dad didn't laugh me out of the building, then maybe, just maybe, this could work. I didn't tell your father we were coming, Mom said calmly as we drove. This will be a surprise. Act natural, and you'll be fine. Natural? My voice cracked. Mom, you have no idea how hard this is. I think I do, she countered. If this wasn't what you wanted, you'd have given it up long ago. Now we both know how beautiful you can be. So hold your head high, smile, and soon it will feel natural. Understand? I'll try, I murmured. Not that I have much choice. You always have a choice, she said firmly. I can turn around right now, take you home, and that will be the end of it. No more dressing up. Or, you can see this through, prove to yourself you can do it. Which is it? I sat in silence, the road humming under us, until finally I nodded. Yes. Her hand tightened on the wheel, satisfied. Good. Then let's not think of fear anymore. Think of being a young lady. By the time we reach your father's office, it will be lunch, and he'll have no choice but to take us out. That way, he'll see with his own eyes just how lovely you are. That'll be great, Mother. Sarcasm dripped from my voice, but of course she ignored it. My mom had a gift for filtering out anything that didn't suit her narrative. She parked the car in front of my dad's office tower, a 40-story slab of mirrored glass and polished aluminum, catching the sunlight like a blade. My stomach clenched at the sight. To reach him, I'd have to cross a crowded lobby, ride an elevator 38 floors, and risk being seen by strangers who might look twice, stare, or worse. Mom didn't hesitate. She strode ahead with her usual confidence, pausing only when she noticed me lagging behind. The thought of walking that gauntlet alone terrified me, so I hurried to her side just as she pulled open the heavy glass door. The lobby was alive with motion heels clicking, voices echoing, people flowing around us without so much as a glance. My heart thumped against my ribs, but no one stopped. No one shouted. We made it to the elevators intact. Relief was fleeting, though. On the 6th floor, a guy about my age stepped in. His eyes locked on me, and they didn't budge. He stayed fixed on me until he got off at the 22nd floor, his stare lingering as the doors closed. Mom's quiet snicker didn't help. By the time the elevator chimed at 38, my stomach was doing somersaults. I followed her into the reception area, nerves wound tight. "Hello, Tina," Mom said with her easy charm. "Is he available?" The receptionist smiled, called Dad, then waved us through. Mom entered first, composed as ever. I trailed after, the door clicking shut behind me. Dad looked up, smiled warmly at Mom, then his eyes landed on me. They narrowed, then softened again. My blood went cold. "Hi, Susan," he said evenly. "Who's this?" "This is Aaron," Mom answered without hesitation. "Jake asked her to be his date for the induction ball. We thought you should meet her, since she'll be with us for a while." The second the words left her lips, I saw it hit him. His eyes widened, the realization crashing down. I see, he said carefully. Want to explain why you're doing this for Jake? Dressing this way? Do you even know how hard this will be? And why would he ask you of all people? How would he know you'd agree? Before I could drown in panic, Mom cut in smoothly. Aaron's been part of us for a very long time. I knew, that was enough. You didn't need to. Jake's been her friend practically since birth. Of course he'd know. All we're here for today is for you to meet her and take us to lunch. Dad's jaw tightened. What if I say no to this nonsense? Then I'll remind you, Mom replied sharply, that you spent weeks dressed as a girl once, and it didn't harm you. In fact, I remember you admitting you kind of liked the feel of satin and nylon. Aaron likes it too. And I've agreed to help her. Now let's go. I'm hungry. Her words stopped him cold. I could see the discomfort in his eyes, but he had nowhere to run. He covered it by standing, coming around his desk, and astonishingly taking my arm. I'm taking Susan and our daughter to lunch, he told Tina as we passed. Daughter. The word stunned me. For a fleeting second, it felt incredible. Then the truth settled. It wasn't acceptance. It was survival. To call me his son in that moment would invite ridicule. Still, hearing it gave me strength I didn't expect. Lunch itself was calm enough, though Dad questioned me relentlessly. I answered everything, glancing at Mom when I had to. Finally, he asked the one question I dreaded. How long has this been going on? I swallowed, then told him the truth. Since I was little, maybe 5 or 6. That's when he set the rules. If it's been that long, then I'll allow this for Jake's sake. But when his induction is over, you're back in pants. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Good. Your mother will help you get what you need within reason. It's only 2 weeks. We'll survive. 2 weeks? Mom interjected lightly. Spring break is 2 weeks. But the induction isn't until later. Erin will need to stay as she is for at least 3 weeks, maybe a month. Dad balked. What about school? She can't miss that much. Already, he was calling me she. The shift wasn't lost on me. Erin can join the co-op program, Mom said smoothly. She'll get assignments by email and turn them in the same way. She won't fall behind. But co-op students need a job, Dad argued. Don't you do the hiring? He froze. To hire me would mean endorsing Erin officially, tying his own credibility to mine. If I failed, it would reflect on him. Mom had cornered him perfectly. That would mean 3 months, he protested. Maybe, Mom agreed with a shrug. But then it's done. Erin will have graduated, and it won't matter. Dad fixed me with his steel gray stare. Then, after a long pause, he exhaled and shrugged. Fine, but you'd better be ready. You've got until school starts again to prepare, because on the 3rd Monday, you'll begin working for me as Erin, no matter how you look. The words struck me like thunder. This wasn't just a game anymore. Mom hadn't just bought me weeks, she'd secured me a place, a role, a future I wasn't sure I could handle. Erin wasn't going to vanish when the ball was over. Erin had just been hired. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was far better than having Dad shut everything down for good. So I nodded, forcing myself to look agreeable. Mom and I left him to settle the bill, slipped back to the car, and on the way home, she blindsided me with a question. What are you using for breast forms? When I told her, she laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Back home, she had me freshen my lipstick and told me to call Jake. Better he sees you now than be shocked later, she said with a knowing look. I dialed, and his mother answered. Recognizing my voice, she told me he was in the shower and invited me over. My nerves tangled, but I grabbed my purse, slipped out the back door, and followed the path to their house. His mother answered the door, eyes widening for a second, before quick comprehension softened her face. Come in, my dear. You must be Erin. Do you realize Jake hasn't stopped talking about you since he met you? Now I see why so pretty. Come sit, have a drink while the big guy finishes up. Not the reaction I expected. I followed her to the patio, soda in hand, half dizzy with relief. Jake tells me you'll be his date at the induction ball, she said gently. Are you comfortable with that? To tell the truth, no, I admitted. Mom keeps saying I'll calm down once the novelty wears off. Maybe the nerves will fade, she mused, but the thrill? That won't go away. I knew a boy like you in high school. He wore skirts to class until they forced him to change. Outside school, though, no one ever saw him in anything but dresses. He disappeared after graduation, and when I heard of him again, he was a woman. Had the surgery and everything. You remind me of him. The fact that you're here tells me you love this more than you'll admit. That's not going to vanish. Her words lodged deep. She was right about one thing. I didn't want the thrill to disappear, only the fear that came with it. A few minutes later, Jake appeared, damp from the shower, bronze skin gleaming under his muscle tee, legs stretching out from the shortest shorts I'd ever seen. From a girl's perspective, he looked maddeningly good. And with Jake beside me, I felt untouchable. Hi! Jake, his mom cut in. You recognize Erin, don't you? Almost, he grinned, eyes drinking me in. The last time I saw her, she wasn't half this gorgeous. He dropped into the chair next to mine, gaze glued to my face. I told you a little help would make you spectacular. Guess who was right? That's only because you're tall enough to see straight past me. You're looking at your mother, dummy, he chuckled. She's beautiful too, but she's too old for me. You, on the other hand, are perfect. Thanks, I think. His mother laughed, then left us, tossing a pointed, "Stay on the ground floor, Jake," over her shoulder. The meaning hit me a beat later. Boy plus girl plus privacy equals trouble. Except I wasn't really a girl, so what trouble could there be? That thought evaporated when Jake's hand landed on my leg. The squeeze was gentle, playful, but it shot panic through me. I bolted across the space, and his grin only widened. Did you tell your dad yet, Erin? Yeah, I said, forcing calm. Mom and I had lunch with him. Turns out I'll be working at his company in the co-op program, as Erin at least until the end of the year. Jake's eyebrows shot up. That's a twist. How'd you swing that? Mom, I admitted. She figured 2 weeks wasn't enough. Since your balls later, she cornered Dad into hiring me. That way, I can stay Erin until school's out. He leaned back, impressed. Did she ever say why? I mean, she already has Katie. Why push this with you? She didn't explain, and I didn't ask. But his question lingered, gnawing at me. Why was she doing this? Why help me instead of stopping me? By late afternoon, I left Jake's and walked home. Dad was there, but only said hi, nothing more. I joined Mom in the kitchen, helped with dinner, and later escaped upstairs to change. I was washing off my makeup when Mom came in and laid a nightgown on the bed, one of Katie's old two-piece sets. Stay, I asked quietly. I needed answers. I slipped into the silky panties and the thin top, pulled on a robe, and sat down. My chest tightened as I looked at her. Mom, why are you doing this? I know I like to dress sometimes, but I never thought you'd help me. Jake and I both don't get it. This isn't like you. Her expression didn't flicker. She pulled the chair close, sat tall, and drew a steadying breath before she spoke. Your Aunt Lisa is like you, honey. She used to be my brother Eric. The words hit me like a shockwave. All her life, she borrowed my clothes, got caught often. Your grandpa tried to beat it out of him, but nothing stopped it. At 18, Eric left. We didn't see her for nearly 3 years. When she finally came home, she wasn't Eric anymore. She was Lisa, the woman she was meant to be from the start. Aunt Lisa used to be a man? The words tumbled out of me before I could stop them. Mom's voice stayed calm, matter of fact, as if she'd rehearsed this. All of that happened before you were born, sweetheart. There was no reason to tell you kids. After she married your Uncle Tom, they adopted Chloe and Samantha. They don't know either, and I expect you to keep it that way. When I told her about your dressing up, we talked for hours. Back then, when you were little, it didn't matter. But now you're almost grown, and it matters a great deal. Lisa convinced me that if this is the road you're meant to travel, you deserve the chance to walk it fully, with all the ups and downs that come with it. And if it isn't, well, after school lets out, you can go back to being yourself, and no one will be the wiser. All I've done is give you 4 months to find out who you are. After that, the choice is yours. She leaned closer, her eyes steady. Your father and I are letting you explore this side of yourself, but there will be rules. You'll live under the same expectations we set for Katie: the chores, the curfew, the responsibilities. As for clothing, we won't dictate much. Girls your age wear just about everything. But for the first month, it's skirts and dresses, maybe shorts now and then. But that's it. Do you understand? I wanted to ask a dozen things, but my mind spun too fast to hold on to them. The revelation alone was staggering. My Aunt Lisa, the beautiful, confident woman I'd known my whole life, had once been my Uncle Eric. There wasn't the faintest trace of it now. She was striking, curvy, graceful, even her voice fully feminine. And Uncle Tom, what about him? Did he know? Mom must have read my thoughts. Yes, Tom knows. He always has. But Lisa won his heart, and once they were together, neither of them looked back. Erin, if you stay a girl, it won't change how we feel about you. And if you meet someone who loves you beyond everything, hold on to him. Never lie. Love him, let him love you back. That's the most important advice I can give you. Tomorrow, go see Lisa. She'll be brutally honest with you. Don't expect sugarcoating, but she'll understand. Be honest with her too, all right? Okay, Mom. Thanks. I'll go in the morning. She promised to call ahead. The next day, I rose early, showered, shaved carefully, and dressed with a sense of ceremony. I chose a short pleated navy skirt of Katie's, a simple white blouse, and flats. My makeup was plain but polished foundation, powder, light plum eyeshadow with brown eyeliner, peach blush, and plum lipstick. Jewelry kept minimal. It took 45 minutes to get everything right, and when I looked in the mirror, I felt satisfied. This wasn't Erin in a dress, this was Erin. Over breakfast with Mom and Dad, no one spoke of it, and after Dad left for work, Mom handed me her car keys. Driving as Erin was surprisingly natural, except for the feel of the leather seat cool against my bare thighs. When I pulled into Aunt Lisa's driveway, she was already waiting on the porch. The moment I stepped out, she broke into a smile. I didn't recognize you. If Susan hadn't called, I wouldn't have known. You look spectacular. Thanks. Mom told me everything last night, said I should talk to you. We moved to her patio where coffee was waiting. Lisa poured, then looked me squarely in the eye. What I have to say isn't complicated, Erin. I knew from the youngest age I was a girl, but it took over 20 years before I could make that true. If what your mother says is right, you may be starting the same journey, but with a big difference. You have a family willing to listen. I never did. And you have me. Being a woman isn't about the outside, it's about knowing, deep down, who you are. The outside can always be adjusted. The harder part is the honesty. Admitting to someone you love that you aren't what they think. That's terrifying. If you hide it, it can turn ugly. When I met Tom, I told him after our third date. He stopped calling. I had to chase him down to explain. But we cleared the air, and now look at us, we built a life. A family. That's what honesty buys you. She tilted her head. Do you have someone? The question caught me off guard. Jake's face flashed unbidden in my mind. Well, not exactly. Jake asked me to be his date for the induction ball and he put his hand on my leg the other day. But he hasn't kissed me or anything like that. Lisa's smile turned knowing as she squeezed my hand. That's the first sign, honey. Jake's attracted to you, or he wouldn't have asked. Not really, I protested quickly and told her the whole story. His shyness, how he discovered me, why he'd asked in the first place. She listened, expression unreadable. Then instead of responding to Jake, she asked lightly, "So what are you using for boobs and hips?" When I told her, she burst out laughing, shaking her head. "You're not alone there. I used the same tricks when I started." While Lisa went searching in the basement, I felt a mix of nerves and anticipation I couldn't quite name. When she returned and opened the first box, I actually gasped. Inside lay the most realistic breast forms I'd ever seen, soft, weighted, molded to perfection. She caught my reaction immediately and grinned. "Go on, try them. They should be your size full A cups." With her help, I slipped off my top, and she tucked one form neatly into each cup of my bra. The sudden weight settled on my chest, and my grin spread without me realizing. Lisa explained how the adhesive worked, still good after years in storage, though she advised waiting until Mom could help apply them properly. Then she showed me the padded panty, describing how convincing it would look. I didn't put it on, just carried the box outside with us, heart thudding with the thrill of possibility. On the patio, Lisa grew serious. "Aaron, this isn't just about how you look. Anyone can be painted and dressed into a decent image. But being believable means becoming as feminine as possible in the way you move, the way you speak. Sing along with women singers, match their notes, watch how you hold your hands, sit, walk." She demonstrated with easy fluidity, showing me where my posture betrayed me, how I swung my arms wrong, how to roll my hips naturally. The lessons were humbling. I thought I'd been doing well, but under her gaze, it was obvious I had work ahead. 2 hours later, my calves burned, my hips ached, and my pride was dented. Becoming Erin wasn't going to be about slipping on a dress, it was going to be work. By 1 o'clock, I promised her I would practice, then left with the boxes tucked under my arm. Mom was waiting and demanded every detail. Unable to contain my excitement, I showed her the breast forms and panty, and confessed I was planning to glue them in place immediately. She shut that down fast, insisting on helping. It took us half an hour, but when she finished, I turned toward the mirror and froze. The reflection staring back wasn't Erin in costume, it was Erin through and through. Smooth curves, subtle cleavage, hips where there had been none. Mom shook her head, muttering something about it being time I had my own wardrobe. Within the hour, we were at the mall. She marched me through a professional bra fitting, where I learned more than I thought possible about straps, cups, and pressure points. We left with 3 bras, matching panties, pantyhose, 2 skirts, 2 dresses, and 2 pairs of shoes. Every step tugged at my shoulders, reminding me of the breasts now pulling gently at the straps, and I loved it. The bounce, the tug, the snugness, it was intoxicating. On the way out, Mom dropped another bomb. Saturday morning, salon. Upper lip, eyebrows, arms, legs, all waxed. Painful, yes, but necessary if you mean to stay Erin. And given that adhesive lasts 2 months, you might as well do it right. Back home, I couldn't resist trying on one of the new dresses. It clung snugly, twin straps holding it in place, cleavage faint but visible, hem brushing mid-thigh. I'd barely zipped it when Mom poked her head in. "Jake's here?" I dashed on fresh lipstick, a spritz of perfume, then swept down the stairs. At the bottom, I turned too quickly, and my skirt flared up. Mom's glare was sharp, but Jake's reaction was priceless. His eyes lit, his grin wide. "Hi." "Hi, Erin," he said, still staring. "I was going to walk over to the park. Want to come?" "I'd like that," I answered, slipping past Mom toward the door. Without hesitation, Jake took my hand. I let him, because I wanted it too. Maybe I needed it. Walking beside him, I wasn't sure if he was attracted to me, but I knew one thing. I needed Jake to help me understand myself, and he needed me to be his stand-in girlfriend, maybe more. At the park, we wandered aimlessly before settling on the swings. I climbed on, pushing off gently, skirt swaying with each rise. Then I felt Jake behind me, his hand steadying my back as he pushed me higher. My skirt flared, but I locked my knees tight. Higher and higher I went, the air whipping past, until suddenly his hand pressed lower square on my backside as he shoved me into the sky. I soared forward, heart racing, and when I swung back, he stepped in front, grabbed the chains, and yanked me to a stop. Momentum pitched me forward, straight into his arms. All at once, Jake's lips were pressed against mine. My mouth parted on instinct, my arms looped around his neck, and suddenly we were tangled up in a kiss that was far too real to dismiss. People call it swapping spit, but there was nothing casual about the way his hand pulled me tight, or the heat flooding through me. The urgency in him startled me. I'd set Jake on fire without meaning to. My pulse pounded. I tore my mouth away. We shouldn't be doing this, Jake. What's the problem? Me boy, you girl. Listen, Tarzan. I shot back, moving away. You boy, yes. Me girl, no. Me boy, too. His grin widened. You look like a very sexy girl to me. He caught my hand, yanking me back close. You know boy. You girl that turns Tarzan on like a light bulb. That's sweet, but... His mouth silenced me again, lips firm against mine. And though a part of me thrilled under the attention, another part twisted with worry. This wasn't what I pictured when I dreamed of being Aaron. Yet here I was, falling into it, tasting more than I thought I wanted. Panic snapped me free. I bolted from him, only to slow into a walk halfway home. Jake caught up easily, steady at my side until we reached my door. He said nothing more than, "You girl now, me your Tarzan," before heading home. I stepped inside, still shaken, when a squeal pierced the air. Only one person made that sound, Katie. Holy cow, you look amazing! She stood in the hallway, eyes wide. Kate, this is Erin, Mom announced smoothly. She's the one who's been raiding your closet all those years. Katie's gaze dropped, lingering on my curves. You got tits, I smirked. Katie, I look just like you do. Huh? What Erin means, Mom clarified, is that she could step into the showers with the girls and no one would suspect a thing. Katie's jaw dropped. What? You mean you and whoever that was could... I nodded before slipping into my room, catching sight of myself in the mirror. My lipstick was gone, Jake had stolen it all. As I reapplied, Katie stormed in behind me, relentless. Show me. To tease her, I quipped, only if we play show me. She didn't hesitate. Her skirt hit the floor, blouse next, and suddenly she stood there in just bra and hose. Startled but committed, I unzipped my dress and slipped it off. Her bra dangled from her fingers, baring her chest, and I stared. My sister had what guys would call a great rack. To even the field, I unclasped my bra, holding it out. Her gasp was sharp before she tugged her hose and panties down in one motion. Not to be outdone, I followed. For one surreal moment, we stood stripped and silent, then burst into laughter. As we dressed again, Katie admitted she'd always known I'd end up a girl. She pried for details about Jake, especially whether he was a good kisser. I told her everything, blushing, and she gave me free run of her closet. She was only home for a short time before heading back to school, but she swore she'd help shape me into a proper lady. We bonded in that moment deeper than ever before. It felt as if we'd been sisters all along. Downstairs, makeup retouched, we joined Mom in the kitchen. Dad lit up at the sight of Katie, hugging us both, though his face tightened slightly when Katie casually mentioned I'd be raiding her closet. Mom smoothed it over, reminding him it's saved on a wardrobe bill. He grumbled, but let it drop. He still believed this phase had an end date, but I knew better. Ever since I glued on the forms and panty, I felt too complete to ever give it up. Mom knew it too. Katie certainly did. Dad would learn soon enough. Later that evening, Katie whisked me into her room. She handed me a pale yellow baby doll nightgown and robe to match, keeping the blue set for herself. The panties were so sheer, it felt like wearing nothing at all. We dressed side by side, giggling like conspirators, before floating downstairs together. Dad nearly choked on his drink when he saw us. As planned, we knelt one on each side of his chair and covered his face in kisses, leaving bright lipstick prints all over. "What's the matter, Daddy?" Katie cooed in her little girl voice. His resistance crumbled instantly. He looked from her to me, and for the first time, he didn't see Aaron at all. He saw two daughters. He bit back his questions and let us settle on the couch, hands clasped, while Mom said nothing at all. The next morning, Katie and I dove into her closet. Hours vanished as she dressed me in outfit after outfit, sorting piles for me until her wardrobe was nearly bare. When I protested, she confessed she'd already decided she was joining the Navy. They'd offered to cover the rest of her law school in exchange for 8 years of service. And just like that, Katie's future was set, and mine, it seemed, had already begun. For Katie, her choice to join the Navy was simple, almost effortless. For me, the reward was immediate. I inherited a wardrobe, and, more importantly, a closeness with her I had craved for years, but never dared reach for. With Katie, I could try on different looks, experiment with hair and makeup, and laugh through the failures. At lunch that day, she styled me in pigtail-like dog ears, bright makeup, and her bib overalls with a skimpy tee. The result? I looked like I was 12 years old, but we laughed until our stomachs hurt, and even Mom just shook her head and let us have our fun. Katie couldn't resist circling back to Jake, of course. "So how good a kisser is he, really?" she pressed. With only limited experience, I admitted he was wonderful. That part was undeniably true. He'd made my knees shake. By the afternoon, she was gone, and I felt her absence immediately. Mom kept me busy, asking me to hang up my boy clothes properly and organize everything else. Jake stopped by, but neither of us went anywhere. I didn't trust him or myself just yet. He lingered until dinner before heading home. The next morning came early, and with it, my salon appointment. Nothing in the world could have prepared me for waxing. The first rip off my leg had me gripping the chair like I was being flayed alive. It wasn't bloody, just brutal. Strip after strip, my legs, arms, even my face were cleared until I could hardly unclench my fists. The hot cloths eased the sting, the mud pack cooled the fire, and by the time my hair was cut, styled into soft curls, my nails done in gleaming acrylic, and my makeup expertly applied, I stared at my reflection in stunned disbelief. I'd never looked that good in my life. Mom had her hair and nails done as well, and then, instead of heading home, she led me into a lingerie shop. "You need help with your waistline," she announced. That's when I was introduced to the corset's modern cousin, the corselet. Joy was not the word I'd use. The contraption cinched my waist down to 23 inches, pushing everything else up or down, redistributing what little I had until my back was straight and bending felt impossible. Breathing became a conscious act. But when I looked in the mirror, my silhouette was undeniable: 36, 23, 35. A girl's figure, perfect on paper, even if it felt like armor. And I wasn't allowed to take it off. "How else do we fit your dress, honey?" the clerk reminded me. So I left the store in it, every step a reminder of my new shape. The real prize came at Stella's, a boutique filled with prom and wedding gowns. Mom and I split up, each searching until I saw it. Floor length, empire-waisted, with a square neckline and a black chiffon overlay that shimmered against the satin beneath. The second I slipped it on, Mom and I both knew. This was the dress. From there, we found shoes, strappy, high-heeled sandals that gave my feet a delicate feminine line, along with jewelry and a handbag. By the time we returned home, exhausted, I was aching to see it all together. Mom helped me slip into the gown. I fastened the sandals, clipped on the jewelry, misted myself with perfume. In the mirror, the girl who looked back wasn't tentative or makeshift anymore. She was polished, poised, elegant. The dress framed my breasts, accentuated my hips, and flowed down my body in graceful lines. Pale pink lipstick glowed softly on my lips. My earrings caught the light. I was still marveling at my own reflection when the front door clicked open. "Dad," Mom's eyes met mine in the mirror. Shall we show him? My stomach lurched. Dad had seen me before in the skimpy baby doll Katie loaned me. But this hairstyled, makeup flawless, nails shining, gown sweeping the floor, this was the finished Aaron. If there was ever a moment that would decide whether he truly accepted me, this was it. I gathered the skirt carefully and followed Mom downstairs. In the family room, Dad was just rising to his feet. I made a small sound. He turned and our eyes locked. Time froze. Every word he'd said before, every reluctant agreement, every bit of doubt, none of it mattered now. Here I was, no longer half and half, no longer Aaron in disguise. I was Aaron, whole and complete. And for the first time, Dad saw the result of all our work, not just mine, but Mom's, Aunt Lisa's, even Katie's. This was who I had become. I stood there in my gown, every inch of me transformed, and for the first time in my life, I saw Dad truly study me. His eyes swept over the polished nails, the styled curls, the smooth, bare arms, the neckline that revealed cleavage I hadn't dreamed possible, and the small smile I couldn't suppress. Mom broke the silence. Well, isn't she beautiful? Dad's voice was slow, deliberate. When this all started, it was supposed to be about Jake needing a date for a dance. I let myself be talked into it, thinking Aaron could play along, get it out of his system, and then everything would return to normal. But then you and Katie tried provoking me with those ridiculous baby doll nightgowns. And now, he gestured at me, shaking his head slightly. Now I see new nails, styled hair, smooth skin, breasts that are impossible to ignore, and a figure no boy could fake. This isn't a lark. It never was. At first, I gave you rules to test how serious you were, but you've gone further. You walk like a girl, act like a girl, even sound like one. No boy could do that, unless it was what he really wanted. I didn't breathe. There isn't a boy your age in this city who wouldn't be proud to have you on his arm, he continued, his tone both resigned and oddly admiring. I listened to your mother's reasons for keeping you in dresses, but I wasn't fooled. I spoke with Lisa. She was blunt. She said Aaron was here to stay, whether I liked it or not. She reminded me, you've been dressing this way since you were small, and that trying to stop you would only drive you away. Better your mother makes a lady out of you here than have you run off on your own. He paused, heavy silence filling the room. Then, so, since I can't stop you, I'll yield to the obvious. From now on, you'll be our daughter, Erin Page. We'll give it time, see if you still want this. If you do, Lisa has agreed to guide us through the transition. By the way, Erin, you look spectacular. My knees went weak. I rushed into his arms, holding him as tight as I could, tears streaking down my cheeks, mascara smudging. Dad's arms came around me, solid, steady, his strength flowing into me. I kissed his cheek and whispered, "Thank you, Daddy," before fleeing upstairs, Mom at my heels. She helped me peel off the gown, though she made me keep the corselet on, insisting it had to be broken in. I wasn't sure who would break first, me or it. That night, I wore a skirt and top, helped her with dinner, then curled up on the couch beside Dad. He put an arm around my shoulders. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. His strength, his acceptance, was enough. The next morning, I tried styling my hair myself, managed well enough, then dressed in shorts and a top without a bra. When I walked into the kitchen, Mom's eyes sharpened like daggers. "Go put a bra on. Don't you ever leave your room half-dressed again?" I didn't argue. I understood. 5 minutes later, I was back, properly fitted. She cinched me back into the corselet, and I knew endurance was part of my new reality. Jake stopped by, and the moment he saw me, his grin said it all. I knew exactly what thoughts filled his head. We walked to the park hand in hand, my nerves eased now that no one could deny I was a girl. On the path we passed Ashley and Nicole. Ashley was shorter, easygoing, brown-haired. Nicole was tall, stick-thin, blonde, and sharp as a tack, always trouble. We split at the fork, them to the right, Jake and I to the left, down by the lake. We sat on the grass, sunlight glinting off the water, fish breaking the surface, a canoe sliding toward the creek. Jake's hand rubbed slow circles on my back, then pulled me into a kiss, hard, passionate, hungry. And then, ahem! We froze, looking up to see Ashley and Nicole standing over us, smirks tugging at their lips. "Well, Jake," Nicole said slyly, "looks like you've finally gotten over that fear of girls. Who's this?" We scrambled up, my heart pounding. Jake kept his cool, thank God. "This is Aaron. Aaron, Ashley, and Nicole." We exchanged nods, but Nicole squinted at me. "You look familiar." My pulse spiked. Then an idea flashed. "I'm related to Aaron and Katie. Do you know them?" Nicole tilted her head. "Yeah, I know them. How come we've never seen you before?" "I just arrived last week," I said smoothly. "Jake and I met, and, well, we hit it off." Ashley chuckled. "We can see that." I slipped my arm through Jake's. "Come on, Jake. We have to get back. I've got an appointment. Nice meeting you both." I waved lightly as we walked away, Jake's hand warm in mine. My heart still pounded, but my smile held steady. For the first time, I'd stared discovery straight in the face and walked away, still Aaron. I wasn't afraid of being a girl anymore. That part had settled deep inside me like second nature. What gnawed at me was the risk of Ashley or Nicole piecing things together, realizing where I lived, and connecting dots I couldn't afford anyone connecting. But, as luck would have it, that never happened. The ball crept closer, just a month away, and with each passing day, I seemed to slip further into girlhood without even trying. Mom noticed it first. My voice carried a lilting rise at the end of sentences, the kind of cadence girls my age use naturally. My walk shifted too graceful, swaying, effortless, no longer practiced. Even my hands betrayed me. Softer, fluid gestures instead of stiff, boyish movements. None of it felt forced. It just happened, like I was becoming myself without realizing it. Aunt Lisa confirmed as much the moment she saw me. "Your days as a boy are over," she declared, her tone final, like she was pronouncing a truth written across my skin. Then she sat me down and wanted every detail about Jake, what we'd done, what we hadn't. She wanted gossip. I swore there wasn't much, but she raised an eyebrow. "A kiss is more than enough," she said, smiling knowingly. And then she launched into talk about hormones, surgery, possibilities that made my head spin. I wasn't thinking about surgery, not yet. Maybe my own breasts someday, sure. But Lisa wasn't pushing. She'd been through this herself not long ago, and she urged patience, warned me not to leap too quickly. I believed her. Katie came home that weekend with her own revelation she had joined the Navy. Dad bristled at first, grumbling, but softened after remembering his favorite TV show about Navy lawyers. Mom thought it was a smart move, while I just wanted Katie happy. Later, I showed her my dress, and the three of us, Mom, Katie, and I, went shopping. That trip ended with the two of them laughing while holding up the tiniest excuse for panties I'd ever seen. A bundle of strings and barely a triangle of fabric. I flat out refused, but they bargained me down to a pair only slightly more substantial. At least they covered me in back. Jake asked me out on Saturday, my first real date. I spent hours getting ready. To me, it was life or death. To Katie and Mom, it was comedy. Still, I dressed carefully. A skirt and blouse, my best bra, flats, hair perfect, makeup and perfume just right. Jake arrived on time. With Dad watching from the living room, I slipped my hand into Jake's and walked out the door. We went to the movies. I couldn't even tell you what we saw, because what mattered was what happened afterward. Parked by the lake, he kissed me. Not a shy brush of lips, but real, lingering, hungry. And for a moment, I let myself sink into it. But when things began to cross an invisible line, I pulled away. My heart hammered as I asked him to take me home. He did. That night, I lay awake, terrified I'd done something unforgivable, something that would stamp me with Mom's warning words. Bad girl. I rose early, wrapped myself in a robe, and stumbled into Katie in the hall. Coffee forgotten, I dragged her into Dad's office and spilled everything. She listened patiently, then hugged me with a laugh. Aaron, relax. I did more than that when I was a freshman. With my boyfriend, too. It doesn't make you bad, it makes you human. Ask yourself this. Is Jake handsome? Does he turn you on? I hesitated. Yes, I guess so. Then there's your answer. You turn him on too. Just don't get reckless, don't get pregnant. You know what I mean. There are ways to keep him happy without going too far. A lot of girls do it. Who knows, you might even enjoy it. Before I could respond, Mom's voice cut in from the hall. What are you girls hiding in here for? Nothing, Mom. Just talking, Katie answered smoothly. Come have breakfast, Mom said, and we followed her into the kitchen like nothing had happened. Katie left that night, and the next storm looming over us was my enrollment in the co-op program. Mom wanted to slip me in quietly, but Dad refused. We meet this head-on, he said flatly. I imagined being hauled into the town square, strung up as a spectacle. The next morning, I dressed with precision. A short dress with a flared hem, mid-thigh length, showing enough leg to look natural among the other girls. Purse on one shoulder, books in a sack, nerves locked down tight. Inside, I was petrified. Dad strode into the college like he owned it, Mom and I trailing in his wake. At the office, he asked the secretary, Ms. Brooks, about enrolling me. When she asked for my name, he didn't hesitate, he gave her my male name. Her eyes widened, confusion freezing her. I'll get Mr. Carter, she said quietly. Moments later, the dean appeared, scanning me up and down before addressing my parents. I understand you'd like to enroll your daughter in the co-op program, he said slowly. But Ms. And the room went still, all of us waiting to see what came next. Carter glanced at his secretary. Brooks says you gave her the name of a boy. Would you like to clarify that for me, please? Dad didn't flinch. Our son told us he wanted to live as a girl, and we've let him do just that. This is Erin. She'll work in my office and complete her coursework through your email system, which I understand is allowed. All we're asking is that you admit her into the co-op program. If she attended here in person, I doubt you could guarantee her safety. I can. The dean studied me for a long moment. I see. Well, rules are strict, but what's your grade point, Erin? I'm second in my class, sir. A 3P98. His brows rose. Impressive. In that case, and given the circumstances, I think we can allow you into the program. But there is the matter of your name. I can change it now if you'd like. If you continue as a girl and keep up those grades, you'll be on the podium at graduation. It would be unfortunate to call a boy's name while you stand there as you are now. Shall we change it? Go ahead, Dad answered firmly. We'll take care of the legal work later this week. The dean smiled. Good luck, Aaron. Walking out of that office felt like 1,000 pounds had fallen off my shoulders. For the first time, I wasn't living under an asterisk or a secret. Dad had even said he would make it legal my new name, my real name. From that day forward, I was Aaron Page. Life moved quickly after that. I started working part-time in Dad's company, assigned to Mark Bennett, a balding number whiz with a sharp eye and a kind heart. He treated everyone as an asset, even me, and taught me more than I could have imagined. Half my life became schoolwork, half the world of business suits, heels, and the strange ballet of office life. Then came the induction ball. Weeks of preparation had carved my waist into a new shape, and despite my pleas, Mom insisted I wear the corselet. We spent hours at the salon, hair, nails, wax, skin, makeup, until I hardly recognized myself. My once mousy hair glowed strawberry blonde, my skin luminous, my reflection unmistakably feminine. A princess staring back at me. Mom handed me a tiny velvet box. Inside was a delicate diamond ring. From your father and me, she said softly. It suits you. And it did. She called my name, and I floated down the stairs the way she'd coached me. Jake and Dad waited below, both smiling, both proud. Dad took pictures, Jake offered his arm, and together, we stepped into the night. The ball was everything I dreamed it would be. Jake was dashing in his tuxedo, his mother glowing with pride. Twice I caught her smiling at me, a warmth in her eyes that said she saw me for who I was. Later, when Jake pressed for more, I set my boundary, and he respected it. We dated for a few months longer, but like summer heat, the romance faded naturally. Graduation came, and just as the dean promised, I stood on the podium, Aaron Page, not the ghost of a name I'd left behind. My speech was brief, but true. Life is a journey, filled with fear, acceptance, and above all, the courage to be ourselves. I stayed on at Dad's firm, earned promotions, and now work as Mark's assistant. He keeps a watchful eye, half mentor, half father figure. And somewhere between the meetings and the paperwork, I met someone new, someone who asked me out. And this time, I didn't hesitate. Looking back, I realize everything began with fear. Fear of being caught, fear of being seen, fear of myself. But once I faced it, life opened in ways I never imagined. Jake catching me that day didn't ruin me, it saved me. Without it, I might still be hiding in a closet, pretending. Now I'm not pretending at all.